I don't have any kids, but I've heard from my sister who lives in Alaska who has 2 kids that once you put thumbs on a pair of mittens, it's totally useless. No one actually takes the trouble of putting a tiny baby's thumb inside the thumb part of the mitten. So I've designed these little mittens to be thumbless, which is both practical and very knitter friendly because we don't have to go back and knit the thumb. And these mittens are made to match this tassel hat. And in these videos here for the mittens, these are techniques that you can use for a lot of different patterns, a lot of really any double pointed mitten or glove pattern. But if you want to follow along with the patterns that we have here, they are available for purchase and download over on my website. So first up, we're going to cover the cast on and getting started. And I have, actually, this is really good that this is a mess. Let me make this a mess. Okay, I have all my stitches cast on, and now I need to make sense of this so that I can get started knitting in the round. First thing I'm going to do is flip it over because I want my working yarn to be over here on the right-hand side. And I know I want to make an H out of the needles, okay? So actually I'm almost there. It wasn't as messy as I was hoping it would be. I want to separate the working yarn from the tail end. Okay, and here's my working yarn. My tail end is actually kind of long to my liking, so I'm going to shorten that. Okay, I'm looking at these stitches, and let me get that out of the way. All the knots are lined up on the inside and nothing's twisted. We want to make sure nothing's twisted when we get started. Okay, here's my working yarn. My first stitch is always to the left of my working yarn, so that's going to be my first stitch. I'm going to leave this on the table here as long as I can to keep it from getting twisted. I'm going to slide this stitch down to the tip of the needle, getting it ready to be worked, and give everything a little turn so that this stitch that I'm going to knit is in front of me. I'm still keeping things on the table, as you can tell. Put my needle in, find my working yarn and wrap the needle. Now I can pick it up because now nothing can get twisted. Before I pull that stitch through, I want to make sure that I have some tension on the working yarn because I want to keep the gap between the 2 needles as small as possible. Excuse me. So I knit the stitch, and we happen to be working 1 by 1 rib here, which means knit a stitch, purl a stitch, knit a stitch, purl a stitch all the way across. I'm going to pull my yarn forward between the 2 needles and purl one. Whoops, I just split that stitch. And put it back between the 2 needles and knit one, forward, purl, back, knit, all the way across the row, or all the way across this needle. Whoops, okay. Now, I always start, I have an even number of stitches on each needle, so I always start with a knit stitch on each needle. Here's my working yarn. My next stitch is always to the left of the working yarn, which means this is my, this is my next stitch. Start with a knit, yarn forward, purl, yarn back, knit. Okay, that's the way you're going to do this for as many rounds as the pattern tells you for the size you're knitting. Now, you need to know where the beginning of your round is, of course, so you know when you've completed 1 round. So you don't have to keep counting 1 needle, 2 needle, 3 needles like that. Wherever the tail is, between those 2 needles, that's the beginning of your round. Here's the tail, here's the beginning of my round. And once I get a little bit of work done, I can use a clippy marker to clip onto the work to make it easier to see where the beginning of the round is. But this will be enough for the first few rounds until I get some going. And that's how you're going to get started. You'll follow the pattern for as many rows as you need to do. And next up, we're going to cover decreasing and shaping the top of the mitten. So these mittens look like little paddles, so we have very little shaping before we close up the top because there really isn't much need for it. I'm going to show you right now how to do the shaping on the mittens. You followed the pattern and you did your 1x1 ribbing, and then you knit every round for as long as the pattern told you to. And the first round of shaping tells us to knit 4, knit 2 together all the way around back to the beginning of the round. So the first thing I want to show you is how to get your stitches ready for this to make the rest of the shaping easier. I knit 4 stitches, I knit 2 together, I knit 1, 2. I'm not going to pick up a new needle. I'm going to keep going so I can finish knit 4, knit 2 together on this one needle. There we go. Now I'll start with a new needle and do knit 4, not use a new needle to do my last knit 2 together. And then pick up my needle. This is just a way of rearranging the stitches without taking the time to rearrange the stitches. Okay, the reason that I went to this trouble is because it's going to make it much easier on subsequent rows. So I did knit 4, knit 2 together, knit 4, knit 2 together, and 2 repeats of that fit on the first needle, 1 on the second, and 1 on the third. And now the next row, I'm going to knit 3, knit 2 together. So knit 3, knit those 2 together, knit 3, knit those 2 together, and everything's going to fit. I won't have to transfer any stitches back and forth on any needles for any of the subsequent rows. That's just a little trick that makes it a lot easier when you're doing decreases like this on mittens or hats or anything like this. Next up, I'm going to show you how to do the Kitchener stitch to close up the top of the mitt. Are you surprised by how quickly these little mittens are going? Not only do baby things go quickly, but when you're knitting a little thing for a baby, not only baby size but tiny, it ends up being a really quick gift to knit, doesn't it? This last part is the Kitchener stitch. Here at the top of the mitten, we're going to use the Kitchener stitch, which is a way of grafting the stitches together where there's no seam on the inside, so nothing uncomfortable on the baby's hands, and it looks perfect just like knitting on the outside. And this is how it goes. I've put the stitches on 2 double-pointed needles, half on each needle. The beginning of my round is here. I don't have a clipper anymore in here, but it runs right up here between these 2 needles, half and half. And I have broken the yarn and left myself about an 18-inch tail, and I threaded the yarn onto this tapestry needle. Now I'm going to line everything up, get it close to the tip of the needle so I can get going. And the first thing I'm going to do is to go in as if to knit. I need to hold it like this. Go in as if to knit on the first stitch on the front needle. Then take that stitch off the needle. Go in as if to purl on the next stitch on the front needle and leave that one on. Now we switch over to the back needle. Go in as if to purl. Take that stitch off. Go in as if to knit and leave that stitch on. And I usually give it a tug after that 4th stitch. So that's the pattern. We're going to go through it again. As if to knit, off, as if to purl, leave it on. As if to purl, take it off. As if to knit, leave it on and give it a tug. This is what I say in my head when I do this. Knit, off, purl, purl, off, knit. One more time. Knit, off, purl, purl, off, knit. And then You'll finish that across the whole row and you'll see it looks perfect. It's beautiful. The Kitchener stitch is a great way of grafting stitches together. So you'll make 2 of these mittens, of course, and if you are looking to give it as a baby shower gift, it's nice to give the mittens in a set along with the hat. The last thing that you'll want to do after you finish knitting these is to block them. And I think a cute way of presenting them is to block them out into little paddle shapes. They're cute that way. They're practical anyway. You know, it's going to go around the baby's hands and keep it warm regardless, but I think they're the cutest in this little paddle shape before you give them as a gift. And that's it. Good luck.